Voila. So we do the singing bowl. Um, I can't say ring or whatever, but in the idea that we're honoring the past, the present, and the future. So I would like to welcome you all today to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist Church. And I extend a special welcome, and I know I can see some new faces. So for you who are visitors and for the two young men I can see out there, we welcome you today. And we hope that you can stay after for some coffee and conversation. I also want to just say, in respect and gratitude to the indigenous people who took care of this land before us, we honor them by having the name of our Unitarian Church, Umpqua Universalist Unitarians. So now I'd just like to call your attention to the announcements in your order of service, and especially three things. One is for those of you who are new or interested in a general class or session for, help me with this, Al, it's going to be a class, right? A class for... UU 101. Yeah, okay, there we go. And if you are interested in that, if you've been coming and you're like, well, I'd really like to know a little more about this place, there's a sign-up sheet in the back. And that Al that you heard speak up, if you have any more questions, you can talk to him after the service. There's also... November 12th. Yeah, November 12th. There's also a new notebook in the back that says birthdays on it. And we would like to have you, if you're willing, to sign your name by the date of your birthday. Now, this is just for cares and concerns. We're not going to do it to embarrass you, or we're not going to list your birthday in any publication. So it's only for the cares and concerns group. The third thing I'd like to call your attention to, if you forgot, like I did, today there's going to be a congregational meeting following the service. And this is a pretty important meeting. There will be a light lunch and then followed by that meeting. So the other announcements you can check out in your order of service. Well, now is the time in our service to collect food or money for the larger population of Roseburg who has needs that we will try by food and healthcare to provide with the Roseburg community. And so there are other churches that participate in this, but we're one, I think it's, Maria, is it only 6 churches? Yeah, and we're one of them, so be proud. Would the young guys like to come up and help us with the fish collection?
If you're willing.
Yeah. And if only one of you is willing, that's okay too. Thank you.
Thank you.
A fishy song? I thought I was...
Line, I'll get a pole, honey.
There's a good fishing song.
You get a line, I'll get a pole, baby. That's the only fishing song I can think of.
Yeah, thank you so much. we thank you for your contributions. Now is the time in our service where we light our chalice, and the words today for the chalice lighting come from Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person.
Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. We invite you now to rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn. It's in the hymnal. It's the, I'm forgetting the number, 347 in the hymnal. And I want to offer a special gratitude, and Merlin would have this memory too. The songwriter Jim Scott used to be a member of the Eugene congregations. So for some of us, we can kind of hear Jim singing this song along with us. So please rise in body or in spirit. The lyrics will be projected as well as
gather the spirit of this power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
So with thanks to Community Church's choir for helping us have some accompaniment in the song, I have a story to share. And anybody who wants to see pictures a little better, I do what I call a story for all ages. And I don't believe in the notion of children's stories being just for children. I believe there's some stories with illustrations that can provide significant messages for all of us. So anybody wants to see the pictures a little better, This particular story was shared with me at a Unitarian Universalist retreat center that I go to for summer camps and over New Year's most years at Elliott Institute in Seabeck, Washington. I just had to go out and buy this book after it was shared at camp. The Very Impatient Caterpillar. And on the front, this little caterpillar says, "Is it time yet?" Many of us are often asking such a question about whatever's moving in our lives. And it's both written and illustrated by Ross Barach. "Hey, what are you guys doing?" the caterpillar asked. "We're going to metamorphosize." Meta what? Now? Transform into butterflies. Right. I knew that. Wait, you're telling me I can become a butterfly? Yes. With wings? Yes. For real? Yes. Wait for me. They're hanging upside down. Now what? Build your chrysalis. Chrysalis. Right. I knew that. What? How did you do that? Is it a spin or more of a twirl? So he spins, and there's just a little bit of threads around him. Am I a butterfly yet? Ugh. So he manages to make a chrysalis. Now what? Just be patient and let nature take its course. Patience. Right. I got this. Am I a butterfly yet? No. How about now? No. Now? No. Be patient. I have a question. Not yet. You don't even know what I was going to ask. Fine. Ask. How's your day going? And am I a butterfly yet? No, just be patient. And then all of the chrysalis, shh, we're trying to metamorphosize. Okay. Obviously, I know this, but do you know how long this takes? 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Right. 2 weeks. 2 weeks! And it shows various smaller illustrations from inside the chrysalis. What am I going to do in here for 2 weeks? Can I get a comic book or something? What if I need to use the bathroom? Anyone want to play a game? What if I want a snack? And then he has his cell phone in there. Hello, 2 pieces, please. My address, a chrysalis. Hello. How long have I been in here? It's still day 1. This is taking forever. That's it. I feel metamorphosized enough. Look out, world. Feast your eyes on this beautiful butterfly. How do I look? Transformed? Looks like still a caterpillar. Time to spread my wings and fly. wait! Flap, 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 flap. Ah, where are my wings? Splat. Time for a new approach. So he goes back into the chrysalis. Okay, you can do this. You can be patient. Who am I kidding? Get a grip. You can. I can't. I can. You are the little caterpillar that could. I am the little caterpillar that couldn't. You can. I can't. You can. I can. You can. I can't. I can't. I can. I can. I can't. I can't. Has days numbered. Day 1. I can be patient. Day 2. Patience is all in the mind. Day 3. Be one with the chrysalis. Day 4. Deep breath in. Day 5. And out. Look. He looks outside. Day 6. I'm doing it. And then we see a fluid filling the chrysalis on day 8, day 9, day 10, day 11, and then 2 weeks later. I did it! I'm a butterfly! You know, I do feel transformed. Starting now, I'm going to be way more patient. That's great. Hey, where are you going? We're migrating. Migrating? Migrating. Right. Wait for me. Are we there yet? So we have some younger people with us, and there's an option. There's an activity space downstairs if you want to head on downstairs, or you're welcome to stay in the sanctuary here and listen to what's going to happen in the rest of the service. But we have a little song we sing if you choose to go out. Okay? Sean, we've got that one recorded, don't we? Okay, Jake, we're ready for that bit. Don't be impatient.
Now is the time. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Get that little booger over here. Now is the time in our service when we remember our joys and concerns with silent or spoken candle lighting. Regarding this significant milestones in our lives, and I invite those who wish to light a candle today to line up here on the right side. And please give your name, and if you can, please be brief. Now it's the time in our service for our offering. And the offering is the sacrament of the free church. We are supported by the voluntary generosity of all of those who join us. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us.
That's a meditation. It's there. Oh, we still got.
From you, I received. I don't know. There's
I
something.
forgot an element. Again, some song. You, it should be from you I received. You. Let's repeat it. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
So in your program, I think it says the anxious farmer, which would be very appropriate for today, but we did that last week. So we're gonna switch it off and do another one, which also I think is very fitting. Some of you may know this from way back in the 60s when Joni Mitchell first introduced it to us, the circle game. Yesterday a child came out to wonder, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in a circle again. Now the train moves 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like when you're older must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle again. 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Those dreams and Johnny took our wheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet just as slow the circles down. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle again. Now the years spin by and now the boy is 20. Though his dreams that blossom brand new come true, there'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams aplenty, before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on their carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle again. And go round and round and round in the circle again.
Thank you, Sean. And before we move into a time of more words, I invite you into a simple movement meditation. This one's different than the one I've done many weeks here, and I can't recall if I've done it with you before. But I want to invite you to rise for this standing meditation. In body or in spirit, if you're more comfortable sitting, you can still do it from a seat. The reality is that work of transformation takes patience and sometimes stretches us. So why don't you invite you to do is you simply breathe in a pattern that works for you, is to stretch your body and reach high into the sky. Reach for whatever may come to you there and allow it to let you take flight. coming down, holding energy just below your stomach, energy center in many traditions. Hands up again, touching in a prayerful mode as you reach and stretch once again. And then down as you take flight. Hold energy for a moment. And up and stretch again. I invite you to close your eyes and do it 3 times, eyes closed, so you're not watching anyone else and just doing your own movement of taking flight and holding and prayer and stretching once and repeat. And finally, just hold for a time as we breathe together as a community. One last easy breath in and out. And please be seated. The words for the reading I've chosen today are from Robert Fulghum.
Out walking in the windy, rainy twilight before supper this evening, I collected a bouquet of fresh fallen leaves. I like autumn leaves and the way deciduous trees go ahead about their business.
Suppose people could do the same thing every fall. Hair would slowly turn shades of yellow and orange and red. We would let our hair grow long for this season to show as much color as possible.
Imagine the conversations. Your oranges are very sharp this year. That's a nice shade of yellow you've grown.
Then, little by little, the leaves, the hair would fall out. Not to worry, we would quickly begin to grow again, just as the buds of new leaves are already there on the trees right behind the loss of leaves.
But we'd be bald, you protest.
Not for long, and bald is beautiful sometimes. It is the absence of something that makes the presence of something a matter of delight.
For one thing, we would have an annual hat season, caps and scarves and hats of all kinds for indoors and out. And after that, surprise season, as our hair grew back, always in some strong new shade of natural.
Or through vitamins as fertilizer, we might be able to opt for some other color for spring. I would try green for 1 year, just to make it clear I am still alive and still growing.
In the trees now clean of leaves, the empty nests of birds are visible. One nest has been blown down by the wind. On examination, I was surprised to find quite a few long strands of human hair woven into it. Given the tensile strength of human hair, I would say the bird had a good idea for nest construction.
Perhaps when I clean out the hair from my brush, I should set the hair out near a bird feeder or bird bath come spring for the birds to use. I like the thought of my hair being woven into a nest way up in a tree.
Imagine then, if our hair turned yellow and orange and red in the fall, and we put some out for the birds in the spring, there would be these beautiful nests made, which we could then harvest in the fall and wear as hats while our hair grew back.
Thank you, Connie. And thank you to Robert Fulghum.
Today, obviously, our speaker is Dennis Reynolds. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about him. Not all of his academic awards and whatnot, but actually just a little bit about him. He took a trip to the North Coast this week, and he enjoyed the weather, but also kayaking. How about that? And then on Friday the 13th, he experienced for the first time the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Thank you, Connie, for the concept of a fresh kind of, introduction in terms of background. And what I shared with Connie, too, that is I had a red lipstick letter V on my forehead for virgin, because up until Friday, I'd never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I had missed a cultural a segment of supposedly my age cohort, but somehow I had missed that particular part of who we are. I'm a fan now of Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I'm also for a long time been a fan of Robert Fulghum. He's best known as the writer of the essay, Everything I Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, which also became the title essay in a book by that same title. You may remember the essay's life advice about continuing to be amazed at the wonder of life and the importance of holding hands and sticking together when we cross the street or do anything else that may be difficult. I was working in early childhood education back in the days when that piece came out, and I found it one of the most profound explanations of the work we were trying to do in that field of laying some foundations for life that had ever been written. Now, the essay was originally written for a church newsletter, a weekly column, back when Fulghum was serving as the minister of the Edmonds, Washington Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Fulghum also served for a time as the district executive of the Pacific Northwest District of the UUA, as we call it, back in the day when we still had districts. He lived in Seattle for many years after he left active ministry and focused on writing and painting. He offered a wit and wisdom that speaks to many, and he's had many of his peer preaching colleagues look to with admiration. I love his rambling thoughts, such as that he shared with us today in our reading. I find his notion of shedding hairs that might be woven into nests whimsical, mighty magical, and that they might magically become hats that we wear. Just a wondrous image to think of. Such hats would be woven in part from threads left behind by those who had gone before. I find it an apt metaphor for how we weave into our lives worldviews and wisdoms from those who have gone before. When we harvest them, such hats would have us wearing threads from our ancestors, our mentors, and our teachers. As our chalice reading reminded us, we each have opportunity to pause with thanks who have rekindled our flame, or perhaps offered threads that have become part of who we now are. Threads, perhaps from those who advised patience in our ongoing process of growth and change. Such threads can come from many sources, both those nearby and for exemplary people at a distance in public life. Another essay from a later book, Fulghum offers this account. Just above the light switch by the door to the studio where I work, I often place a photograph, pinning it to the wall with a red pushpin. When in a magazine or newspaper I find a particularly arresting picture, a visual image that provokes my mind, I tear it out and put it by the light switch so I can consider it as I come and go. Something to inspire me or to confront me. For most of the month of March a few years back, 3 photographs were pinned by the light switch together. A small one in color showed a man doing some carpentry, wearing aged leather high-top work shoes, blue jeans and a flannel shirt and a sweat-stained red baseball cap, and around his waist a well-worn nail apron. He's working about 8 feet off the ground, straddling a wall header. The man was framing a house. By the look on his face and by the way he holds the hammer, it is clear that he not only knows exactly what he is doing, but also he is intent on doing it right and doing it well. I see carpenters every day doing this common task, nailing wood to wood with the hammer and nail and muscle and blood and sinew and brain. Men who say, when I ask what they are doing, will say, I'm in construction. I like the look of this picture. Bright sky, new wood, and ancient trade, something very honest and positive and fundamental going on. The second picture by the light switch is a grainy black and white news photo from the morning paper earlier in the month, showing a middle-aged man in a short-sleeved, sweat-stained khaki shirt. The man is smiling the greatest of smiles, and the other people in the picture are also smiling. It's the conclusion of an election. On this occasion, we see the smile of an honest election held in the power-cake conditions in a Central American country. Nobody was killed during these elections, and the loser for the first time accepted the results, leading to a major change in government and hope for the people. The man in the short sleeves was there assisting, offering his credibility and his brain and his skills and even his life to help bring about the impossible. He was there on his own, representing only himself and the concerns of people like him from all over the world, without any compensation other than the wages paid by conscience. The third picture by the light switch shows a man in a white shirt and tie. He is not smiling. The look on his face is a combination of vexation and determination. He has come once again, as he has come again and again and again to meetings in the Middle East, to get enemies to talk to each other face to face, not on behalf of his government or any government, not on behalf of any organization, but on behalf of peace and justice. Fulghum continues, it's the same man in each of these pictures by the light switch on my door. And he is truly in the construction business, giving up his time and life to build houses for poor people, to build structures of peace in one of the oldest, hardest, meanest arenas of conflict in human history. The man's name, and you may know this by now, is Carter, Jimmy Carter. He used to raise peanuts in Georgia, had a government job once, but he's gone back to being in the construction business again and teaching. When the story ends and we settle up accounts in the 20th century, someday his name will shine. He may not be on the list of great presidents, it's too soon to say, and history readjusts that all the time. But it's not too soon to say he is the finest ex-president this country has ever had. Each night I finish my work and pause at the light switch and I look at the 3 pictures. The word that comes to mind is gallant. Gallant. A high-spirited, courageous notion. This man knows how to lose, and he has lost big. Forces beyond his control may have made him the wrong man for the wrong job at the wrong time. Still, he has lost like few men have in public. He might have tucked his tail between his legs and spent the rest of his life sorting papers, stacking books, fishing, playing golf, as others who have had his government job have done. But to lose and to be a loser are not the same thing. And he knows that. And besides, he still had work to do, tasks to complete because of who he is and not because of any office he may or may not hold. He is proof that there is no limit to the amount of good a person may do if they don't worry about who gets credit. He's not one of those the Bible's talked about who gained the whole world and lost their soul. As I flick out the light switch, his example is not lost on me. He may not have yet won the Nobel Peace Prize, yet when the honest recognition of nobility is awarded, he will certainly be a worthy recipient. The prize of nobility. After this essay was written, Jimmy Carter did receive a Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts in the Middle East. I consider Jimmy Carter, who just 2 weeks ago, on the 1st of this month, turned 99 years old, as one of those exemplary people whose threads I would be honored to weave into my hat. I just like to weave that into his life. Even now at age 99, he is very interested in the work of the Carter Center that seeks, amongst other projects, to eradicate guinea worms that cause terrible health crises in East Africa. Paige Alexander, the chief executive of the Carter Center, the nonprofit institution that serves as the base for his philanthropic work over the last 4 decades, has reported that he's got so much joy in seeing his presidency and post-presidency revisited. In many ways, that keeps him going, along with peanut butter ice cream. Alexander reports on increasingly less frequent communication with President Carter. And when she did, he wasn't asking about politics or the economy, she reports. He just wanted to know what the guinea worm count was. And we are getting close to eradicating the guinea worm. 99 years old and still seeking to help others. Wow, talk about an exemplary person. Now, Jimmy Carter is not alone in such global efforts. For a time, he was part of a group of global leaders called the Elders. It was initiated by South African President Nelson Mandela, and it included President Mary Robinson, former President Mary Robinson from Ireland, Ban Ki-moon and Kofi Annan, both former UN Secretary Generals, Gro Harlem Brundtland, former Prime Minister of Norway, Ernesto Zedillo, former President of Mexico, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and the former Prime Ministers or Presidents of Chile, Colombia, Liberia, Mongolia, Finland, Brazil, and New Zealand. Quite a bunch of retirees there, huh? They proclaim that our vision is a world where people live in peace, conscious of their common humanity and their shared responsibility for each other, the planet, and future generations, where there is universal respect for human rights, where poverty has been eliminated and people are free from fear, oppression, and are able to fill their true potential. This dedicated group has continued beyond their official leadership careers to advocate for a better world. They continue to leave threads for the future. Many of us have also experienced elders and mentors up close and personal in our lives. For me, a couple of my most important have been ministers. There's the Reverend Carolyn Colbert, who served into her 70s as my mentor minister in the Eugene Church. The Reverend Betty Pingle, who died just last month, was another. She was the first one who, after a Sunday service where I had a lay worship leader part, came to me and said, "Dennis, have you ever considered becoming a Unitarian Universalist minister? I think you should." Betty turned 70 while serving the church in Eugene, and she said then, "I've reached a point in life where I'm not afraid to step out into the darkness, because I trust I will either find solid ground or I will grow wings and learn to fly." Quite a message from that woman. I invite each of you to dip into your recollections and give silent thanks to those who have helped you find solid ground or perhaps have taught you to fly. I suspect some of them might be in this room or people you've encountered in this congregation. I think of others in my life, Peter and Neil, two men's group friends, who each in their turn took what they called the old white guy position on the Eugene Human Rights Commission. It's because of their mentorship I now serve on the city's Sustainability Commission. Now, in that work, I'm mentored too by young climate activists whose diligence and dedication inspire me to keep up my work alongside and in support of them. When I think about the threads that any of us might leave behind, I find myself exploring the notion of ancestors and ancestry, and the question of what kind of ancestor I want to be. What kind of threads do I want to leave behind? Becoming an ancestor is not something that happens only after we have died. The growing of colorful threads that we leave behind happens throughout our lives. Those of us who had been blessed with children do that through parenting. Teachers get many opportunities to leave threads, and each of us who lives our lives out loud offers teaching threads that can be harvested by the generations that follow, that they may select to weave into their lives. Living our lives with honesty and with a commitment to having an impact is an act of faith. Faith in the future, and a faithful knowing that what we do in our lives not only matters for what we touch, for those we see and touch, but also for those who are far from us in geography or even across time. May each of us keep believing and keep doing, keep leaving threads. May it be so. It is the tradition of this congregation to offer some time for shared reflections that may come to words for you, or reflect silently as meets your mood. Anybody have things?
So now if anyone has a comment or wants to ask a question, there are people we can count on.
It's because I take notes. Sermon. I've been looking for a place to share with you a quote I heard, and this sounds like a good one. It was somebody, I don't remember who made it, but the statement is, if you can't find the way to love in the world, at least find a way to keep your mouth shut. And I think, Dennis, you're offering us something else. If you can't find a way to be love in the world, then listen and figure out what your threads are. And what does the threads do? That's easier than doing other ways of examining yourself. I think I can deal with a thread and give it a color more easily than actually whatever else.
Right. What I find the power of Fulgham's metaphor for me when he starts out with the tensile strength of birds, that's, many beings can find threads that give strength to that which we build. And for me, that's a powerful metaphor. And I think the fact that it's just a simple thread, we don't have to do it all. Yeah. We just have one little piece. But each and every piece adds to the strength of what is created in times to come.
Anyone else?
Well, in thinking of those who have contributed, there's so many that I can hardly pick one. But my first job was for a woman named Clover Maloney. And Clover was a triple amputee, but she gave jobs to 10 of us at a time, was quite an inspiration, although sometimes she was also quite irritating. But she was an amazing person, and I take from her the fact that she never let anything get her down, including the loss of 3 limbs. And she is always going to be in my heart for that. And I thank her for that example, because it's going to have to take an awful lot before I quit now because of that.
Yeah. Well, as I noted, many of us have those exemplary people, whether they're out there in public life, as a Gandhi, Mother Teresa kind of figure who we think, I could never be that, or somebody just down the road, or maybe down the row of chairs at church. So.
The word that comes to mind to describe what you're talking about is legacy, that each of us offers a legacy.
Absolutely.
And we never know which of those hairs some bird is going to pick up and weave into her nest. It might be some off-the-cuff comment that we make that really touches somebody, or a gesture of kindness that reaches somebody's heart and inspires them. And all of those colors, all of those beautiful threads we leave behind, they make the world a more beautiful and strong place.
And the preacher says, amen.
I was just thinking about it in terms of parenting, and how, as a parent, I've never thought about it that way before, but one of our jobs is to help our kids access, a variety of threads and strong threads, and help them build that nest. And that's just something I was thinking about. Like, as a parent, that's a really relevant metaphor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh.
I love the thread image. And during this reflection time, it's made me think of what threads did I gather from my mother, from my father, and from other relatives and friends along the way, but especially particularly my parents. I know there's many. I should take time to think about that.
Right. Well, and Merlin and guys, and yours and my cohort, many of us know that we've left some threads out there somewhere, right? Some hair that we hope gets put to some good purpose somewhere. So, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm going to invite you now to go ahead and rise in body or in spirit, and we'll sing some more. Break Not the Circle. It's number 323 in the hymnal, and will be projected. And then remain standing for our closing words of benediction.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not the circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all the living. Come wander at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong and guilt, but will that human bonds remain unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves and on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
Our closing words of benediction are from Jimmy Carter.
I think that regardless of our culture, age, or even personal handicaps, we can still strive for something exceptional.
Why not expand our sights instead of restricting our lives and accepting the lowest common denominator of a dormant existence?
Faith will permit us to take a chance on a new path, perhaps different than the one we now follow. It may be surprising where it leads.
Yes, it is faith that permits us to take a chance. It may surprise you. Salam, shalom, amen, and blessed be. You want to go ahead and just extinguish it? And then this closing song is again part of the tradition of this congregation. And a few weeks back, people started to establish an old pattern of circling around this room and holding hands. You're welcome to do that or remain standing if that's more comfortable for you. It's Go Lift It Up.
that soup was so welcome by me. Oh my gosh, it was good.
hungry, I was thinking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was hungry. That saved the day.